Good morning, everybody. Happy Father's Day to you all. Will you stand and worship with us this morning? Put your hands together. Come on.
There is no one like our God, reaching down to touch the broken. Mercy breaking through this moment. Faithful is the one who saves, worthy is your name. Oh God, the glory is yours, the kingdom is come and the battle is over. Jesus, in your name we rise, and the glory is yours, the glory is yours. Sing it out. Thrones and angels watch and wonder. On that day when time is over, every heart at last proclaim, worthy is your name. Oh God, the glory is yours, the kingdom is come and the battle is over. Jesus, in your name we rise, and the glory is yours, the glory is yours. Oh God, the glory is yours, the kingdom is come and the battle is over. Jesus, in your name we rise, and the glory is yours, the glory is yours. Nobody beside you, there has never been anyone, anything like you. Nobody beside you, there has never been anyone, anything like you. Nobody beside you, there has never been anyone, anything like you. Nobody beside you, there has never been anyone, anything like you. Nobody beside you, there has never been anyone, anything like you. Nobody beside you, there has never been anyone, anything like you.
exalted high above all the nations. So Lord, we thank you, God, that you are a place that we can run to when we need refuge, when we need your strength. Because God, you are good. We thank you. We thank you, Lord, for loving us and protecting us. Thank you for being our Father. We love you, Lord. Amen. Amen. Church, can we applaud him one more time? Because hallelujah. Love you, Lord. Thank you for your grace. Thank you, Lord. Good morning. Welcome to A2 Church. Happy Father's Day to all the dads in the room this morning. It's great to see you here with us. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Hope you have an awesome day with us. We're so glad you made us a part of your day. This is our connect time where we cross the room, come from the back of the room to the front, hug somebody's neck, shake somebody's hand.
Good morning, A2 Church. My name is Shamar, and we want to kick things off right by wishing all the dads and granddads in the room a huge happy Father's Day. Whether you call this place home or are visiting us for the first time, we are so honored that you chose A2 for your Father's Day celebration. This Father's Day, we're kicking off with a throwback theme from the good old 60s. Make sure to grab yourself a biscuit from Magic Muffin and a groovy snapshot to take home out in the lobby today. Our goal at A2 is simple. We want to glorify God and lead people to a life-changing relationship with Jesus Christ. We also want to make sure that you know you matter to God and to us, and you don't leave here with any questions unanswered. In front of you, you'll find a connection card. Take it out, fill it out, and drop it in the container that's going to pass. There's a place on the back for you to let us know about your experience today or to sign up for one of our events. Also, if there is something we can join you in praying about, let us know by writing your request on the back of the card. We have an amazing prayer team that would love to join you in prayer throughout the week.
Ladies, don't miss the opportunity to hang out with some awesome women, enjoy delicious sweets, and a brief message just for girls. Grab a friend and make plans to join us. RSVP today and sign up to bring your favorite dessert by using your connection card or emailing us at info@a2church.org. The church is called to defend the fatherless and care for those who have no family. Discover how you can be a part of the solution for the 143 million orphaned, abandoned, and vulnerable children in our world. There is hope.
Preschool through grade 5 are invited to summer camp VBS A2 style. Woo woo! Living Inside Out will take kids on an exciting journey through the parables of Jesus and how we can put them into practice in everyday lives. Awesome worship, engaging large group sessions, hands-on small group time, and friends and more. It's not too late to register. Simply sign up using your connection card today. We have an amazing opportunity next weekend to show God's love to a family in our community. Spend next Saturday making a difference. Join A2 team members as we travel to Albertville, Alabama to perform basic home repairs on a home of a needy family whose daughter is struggling with cancer. Meet in the A2 parking lot area at 8 a.m. Mark your connection card Operation 127 in the Sign Me Up section or contact us at info@a2church.org for more information.
Challenges come in all sizes, and right now we're facing some God-sized challenges at A2 Church. But what if we began viewing every challenge as an opportunity to see God do something amazing and absolutely extraordinary? Make plans to join us for our next Leadership Summit. The summit is for everyone interested in being a part of what God is doing at A2 Church. We need you. Join us for worship, vision, breakouts, and food. If you would like to partner with us in the work that we're doing at A2, you can prepare to do that right now. To give by cash or check, use one of the envelopes in the seat back in front of you. You can also partner with A2 by using our online giving link located on our homepage. Check out your program for more information. Thanks again for being with us at A2 Church. For more info on anything you've heard today, stop by the info desk in the foyer or connect with us online.
Good morning. Welcome to Father's Day at A2 Church. How do you do that, Jessica? Woo, woo. Yeah. Awesome. Capacity crowd today. It's great to see everybody here today. I'm Kevin Johnson. This is my lovely wife, Shannon. We serve as elders here at A2. We just want to welcome you all to Father's Day here.
We look severely underdressed at this point, don't we? I know. Curious?
I look good. Okay. All right. There you go. Okay, so Father's Day at A2 Church, the hospitality team brought their A game. We've got wonderful food outside if you haven't already had some treats there. The coffee's great, and we have the photo booth. Don't miss out on the photo booth. If you haven't had your picture made, dads and families, hit the photo booth after the service. That'll be going on between the next two services.
And we also want to remind you that in front of your seat is that connection card. So we want you to go ahead and take that out. When the ushers come to take our tithes and offerings, they're going to pick up those connect cards too. That's where you're going to sign up for things like VBS, which starts tomorrow night, or the Summer Sugar Rush that Tiffany talked about too. Ladies, we don't want to miss that. This is our one chance. They've had like 4 nights, so let's have a record crowd next Sunday night for sure. Absolutely. I'm excited. It's so hard to take you serious. With those glasses, but I love them. And then also your prayer request. Put your prayer request on that connect card too, and we'll also be praying for those this week.
Okay. And if you call this place home, this is the time to prepare God's tithe and your offering. We're going to, obviously the band's up to something, so something's going to happen in a little bit here. Make sure you have that ready, connection cards ready, so we can drop those in the baskets as they come by, or buckets, whatever we use. Now we're all about Father's Day. This is about celebrating fathers. And so Chris asked us to come up with a top 10 list. I didn't want to run it by him, so this is going to be a surprise to him too. And so we're thinking, if you were here for Mother's Day, I got slammed on the stage by Shannon because...
Wait, stop. It was merely a suggestion that you don't buy things that are just chore-like. Let me and listen. Okay, so I got a KitchenAid mixer for Mother's Day, okay? If you didn't know that, I got a KitchenAid. But what's good about that is that's something that I wanted because I like to bake. It's different. I would have been not as thrilled to receive like a floor steamer, which I'm not saying I received that for Christmas this year. It's all good. But I love my mixer. Here, I'm going to give it back to you.
So for redemption, we decided to give you a list of the top 10 gifts that dads would want. So they're going to come up on the screen here. So starting with number 10 of the top 10 gifts that dads really want. Actually, let's skip ahead one here. Yes, a cool shirt. So we're not into ties anymore. That's old school, and A2 doesn't believe in ties anyway. So dad, a really cool shirt, number 10. That's a good one. All right, number 9. Grill accessories. All right, dads love to be manly out on the grill. I'm getting some high fives, virtual ones back here. Yes. Okay, so like a light for the grill or just a stainless steel thing.
Which I bought him and somebody lost it like years ago.
One of the kids lost it. All right. Number 8 is the Home Depot gift card, because that's the man store. You can go find something that you really want there, or if you need to repair something that you've already fixed, go to Home Depot and get the parts for it. Right. It happens. All right. Number 7, Elvis vinyl records. There may be, perhaps, some of you have a different hobby than collecting vinyl records, but that's always a good one for me. Number 6, a Wi-Fi thermostat. Have you seen these guys? You can get one at Home Depot with your Home Depot gift card. You can control the thermostat with your iPhone. So even when you're at work and you know the kids have got to bump down and you're about to get a horrendous power bill, you can go bump it back up. All right. Number 5.
Sure, it's going to be that metal detector I got you 2 years ago, right?
No. Number 5 is an evening of superhero movies. How cool would that be? All right, Blu-ray player, big TV, no whining allowed in the house. You just sit back and enjoy your superhero movies. No, I'm talking about the kids. All right. No, they don't. All right, so number 4. This is a good one. Sports tickets. It was going to say Green Bay Packer tickets, but Shannon said, let's keep it a little more generic for other people who don't know who they're supposed to cheer for. So the Birmingham Barons would even be a good one on that one, sports tickets. All right, moving on. Number 3, a day off. to do what he wants. Yes, this is when you reorganize your tackle box or do those things that you want to do that other people don't find so important. So remember that. You guys aren't taking notes on these, right? All right, so number 2, a date with mom. Absolutely. Isn't that sweet?
You're probably thinking what you hope comes after the date, but that's what you really want the date. Sorry, this is morning. We need to go.
That's not fair. Because number 1 is what comes after.
Enough of that. We got to get to the celebration part. Dads, we know that the band has something awesome here. They've got their 70 gears on, so let's get ready to celebrate Father's Day A2 style. Happy Father's Day, everyone.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm not alone if you feel like a room without a roof. Not alone if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here comes bad news, talking this and that. Give me all you got and don't hold back. I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. To you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm not alone if you feel like a room without a roof. Not alone if you feel happiness is the truth. Not alone if you know what happiness is to you. Not alone if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, I can't nothing. Bring me down, my level's too high. Bring me down, I can't nothing. Bring me down, I said. Bring me down, I can't nothing. Bring me down, my level's too high. Bring me down, I can't nothing. Bring me down, I said. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. just wanna celebrate another day of living. I just wanna celebrate another day of life. I just wanna celebrate another day of living. I just wanna celebrate another day of life. I just wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate. I just wanna celebrate.
All right. Give it up one more time for the band. And what about Justin Ott? Wow. That was awesome, Justin. All right. Happy Father's Day, A2 Church. You blew it. Let's try it again. Happy Father's Day, A2 Church. It is awesome to see you this morning. Hey, I love the second verse to that song. I don't know if you caught it. Here come bad news talking this and that. Yeah. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Yeah, you can help me out. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. Yeah. No offense to you. Don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Yeah. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about this morning. We are going to talk about happiness. We're going to talk about the possibility of living a happy life, about the possibility of restoring or reclaiming your happiness. Parents, both moms and, since it's Dad's Day, dads have all kinds of hopes, aspirations for their kids. Ask any parent, what do you want most for your kid? And after praying that their child will be healthy, they'll almost always say something like this: I just want my kid to be, fill in the blank. Yeah. Now, people who call themselves Christians, and there are both Christians and non-Christians in this room, are quick to point out that there's a big difference between happiness and something they refer to as joy. And technically, they are right. But I think it's important to point out, before we get into technicalities, that I like happiness. I am pro-happiness. I mean, if you've got a choice between being happy or sad, take happiness. But what followers of Jesus often realize is that happiness is usually connected to circumstances or the happenings in your life. Joy, on the other hand, is often in spite of the circumstances or the happenings in your life. So today, if you prefer it, we're going to talk about joy. We're going to talk about living a joyful life. We're going to talk about how to restore or reclaim your joy. If you are human, it comes with a package. Everyone wants to be happy. Everybody wants to experience joy, but there is a joy deficit in our culture. I mean, get this. According to the latest research, less than 30% of people polled actually report being deeply happy. Did you get that? Less than 30%. A conference board survey released in January of 2010 found that only 45% of workers surveyed were happy at their jobs, the lowest rating in 22 years of polling. You realize this? Depression rates today are 10 times higher than they were back in the 1960s. In fact, this has caused the World Health Organization to predict that by 2020, depression will be second only to heart disease in terms of the global burden of illness. And I was blown away by this. Every year, the age threshold of unhappiness sinks lower. 50 years ago, here's what scientists refer to it as, the mean onset age of depression was 29.5 years of age. Today, it is almost exactly half that, where kids, teens, students at 14.5 age, by and large, report dealing severely with depression. I want to ask you, do you struggle with this issue of happiness? Do you struggle with this issue of joy? And furthermore, what would it actually take to make you happier? Have you ever thought about that? A new relationship, a better job, a different job, being so financially independent you didn't need a job. What would it take to make you happier? Getting married, being married to a more attentive spouse, being married to a different spouse. Don't say amen if you're married. Or maybe getting some time away from the spouse to whom you are married. What would it take to make you happier? Looking younger, losing weight, more supportive or loving parents, more supportive or loving kids, your kids excelling in school or in life, you yourself excelling in school or in life, relief from a chronic illness or a lifelong disability. What would it take to make you happy? A new home, a new car, more money, more time, a Father's Day gift you actually like. What would it take to make you happier? Oh, what's interesting, this blew me away. What's interesting is that according to the latest research, people on Forbes' list of the wealthiest Americans reported only slightly greater levels of happiness than the rest of us who didn't even come close to making that list. In fact, believe this or not, 37% of the people on the list are less happy than the average American, which leads me to believe that happiness, real happiness, probably isn't tied to any of the stuff we naturally and normally associate with happiness. That's why I love the way Dallas Willard defined joy. It's not in your notes. It's going to come up on the screen. If you'll email me, we'll email you the quote. But here's what Dallas Willard said about joy. He wrote, "Joy is not pleasure, a mere sensation, but," get this definition for joy, "a pervasive and constant sense of well-being." It claims our entire body and soul, both the physical and the non-physical aspects of the human self. Hope in the goodness of God is, and I love this, joy's indispensable support. Did you get what that guy said? Joy is not pleasure. It's not a mere sensation. It's not just feeling happy in the moment because of something that happened to you or something going on around you. Notice what he said. It is a pervasive and constant sense that I'm okay. And it's so pervasive that it not only affects my soul, it not only affects my mind, it not only affects my emotion, but it actually has a physical effect and can affect body posture and physical health. It is grounded in the goodness of God. I love that. I want to ask you, do you have that kind of joy? Are you experiencing happiness on that level? Another question, maybe this will help you answer that question. Can you get joy? Can you get joy from a glass of wine or a can of beer? Nobody's willing to answer the question, are you? Southern Baptists and classical Pentecostals immediately know the answer. Episcopalians, Presbyterians, and Catholics are asking what kind of wine and what kind of beer. So let me ask it a different way. Could massive amounts of a great bottle in a great brand from a great year of wine give you a pervasive and constant sense of well-being that saturates every aspect of your personhood? And the answer is absolutely not. And that's the point. Nothing earthside can do that. I mean, Lady Gaga said, "I live for the applause," but applause can't do that. Approval can't do that. Popularity can't do that. The perfect job, the perfect spouse, the perfect kids, human achievement, position, power, money, education. I don't know of anything earthside that can give you a pervasive and constant sense of well-being, do you? But that doesn't leave us hopeless. That's why in your notes, if you want to take out the notes, here's how we've defined joy. And basically this is a collection of definitions from people like John Piper, Louis Giglio, John MacArthur, and various other authors. And I just put everything they said about joy, blended it up, came up with my own definition. Let's just read it out loud. It'll come up on the screen. It is in your notes. You ready? Joy is a deep, abiding sense and the confident expectation that, and read this out loud, God is with me, that God is for me, and that our sovereign God is working everything together for my ultimate good and His great. And that is what makes joy possible regardless of what's going on here. Regardless. Now, I have a lot of subjects that come to mind to speak to you about on Father's Day. And we could talk about the plight of the American father, and it is a serious plight. And just a few weeks ago, Jeremiah Castile addressed the issue in a Sunday night for guys only event, and it was extraordinary. We could talk about that. But quite honestly, that isn't the leading I felt encouraged and prompted to talk with you guys about, and you girls. I felt prompted to talk to you about the absolute need to live a joyful life. See, you were made for joy. You may not realize that, but you were created for joy. In fact, a joyless Christian is a contradiction in terms. It's simply not possible. You were made for joy. In fact, according to Jesus, the problem with people today is not that we experience too much joy for God's taste, but that we don't experience enough joy. Now, if you're a Christian and you're wondering when we're going to get to what the Bible says about the subject, right now would be the time. John 15, verse 11. Jesus addressed this subject head on when he wrote the following. John 15, 11. Jesus looked at his disciples and said, I've told you these things so that you will be filled with my joy. Yes, and so that your joy will what? Anybody see it? Overflow. You know what's really interesting to me about that statement? It's interesting. Jesus made that statement in the context of being gathered together with his followers in what we refer to as the Last Supper, just hours before he would be arrested on false charges, hours before he would go through a series of several interrogations, hours before he would be tortured and ultimately crucified. But he looked at his followers and said, I've told you these things so that you will be filled with my joy and so that your joy would overflow. Earlier, he said it like this. He said, this is what you were made for. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. John 10:10. But I've come so that you might have life and have it to the full. Here's the way Lewis Smedes described this. He wrote, to miss out on joy is to miss out on the reason for your existence. Here's the way, in case you're a serious thinker and think, this is too much joy stuff, it's not really that important. Well, here's the way C.S. Lewis described the importance of joy. He wrote, joy is the serious business of heaven. See, the Bible puts joy in the non-optional category of the Christian life. Joy is a command. In fact, joylessness is a serious sin, one of which the majority of Christians are very comfortable in committing. There are basically two kinds of people on this planet: those who choose joy and those who don't. And the world is filled with people who don't. You ran into them, right? You ran into them this week, right? You work next to one person like this, right? You're married to somebody like this. No, don't say amen. The world is filled with people who make a decision to live a joyless life. Here's what I came to tell you this morning. You can choose joy. Because joy, go back to that definition. Bring the definition up on the screen again if you would. Joy is a deep, abiding sense and the confident expectation that God is with me. How would your life change if you believe that today, regardless of what goes down, God is with me, and furthermore, that God is for me? And that our sovereign God is working everything together, not for my immediate good. You see, this doesn't dismiss pain. Because the very Jesus who said in John 15:11, I want my joy to be in you so that your joy can overflow. That same Jesus was going to experience pain, and his followers were going to experience massive loads of pain. But joy is the confident expectation that our sovereign God is working everything together, not for my immediate good, but for our ultimate good and his great glory. Let me share with you a passage that's not in your notes. You might want to jot it down. John 16. Comes one chapter later than John 15, where Jesus has began this discourse on joy. And Jesus is preparing his followers for his coming arrest, his coming interrogation, his coming torture, his coming persecution. He's letting them know, guys, things are about to change. You've become really comfortable with me being here right beside you, but things are about to change. Things are about to get turned upside down. Verse 20. Verily, truly, I tell you, you will weep and mourn while the world rejoices. You will grieve, but your grief will turn to joy. A woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come. But when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into the world. Time out. Does it actually work that way? Does a woman immediately forget the anguish because of the joy that a child was born? Now, I'm just asking you to be real for a moment. When Janet was pregnant with our first child, Chelsea, we didn't have health insurance. So, once we became aware that Janet was pregnant, we worked with the hospital there in Chattanooga, Tennessee before Chelsea's birth, and we prepaid all of our expenses. Took us all 9 months to do it for labor and delivery, except for one very important aspect of labor and delivery, and that something is called an epidural. That was $900 back in that day that we did not have. When Chelsea finally decided to get here, Janet was in labor without any pain medication, and I'm talking about being dilated several centimeters for 12 hours. Now, we had attended Lamaze classes. I was by her side. I was encouraging her to breathe correctly. I was reminding her that if you can make it these last few centimeters, we will save $900. Come on. Hold out, baby. Hold out. Hold on. It eventually became clear to me that if I valued my marriage and valued my life, I would take a loan out for $900 and get her an epidural. I said yes to the nursing staff. 6 hours later, Chelsea was born. My marriage was saved. Now, when Jesus says that when a woman's baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born, he's not saying that the woman mysteriously develops amnesia. He's saying that the joy of giving life far outweighs the pain of giving birth. He's saying that what starts in pain ultimately ends enjoy. Verse 22, look at it. It'll come on the screen. So with you, now is your time of grief, but you will see me again. This is for some of you who have been going through a difficult time. This is for some of you who have been caught in a challenging season of life. Jesus said, now is your time of grief, but you will see me again and you will rejoice and no will take away your joy. Is that awesome? What was Jesus talking about? Here's what Jesus was talking about. He knew his arrest, interrogation, torture, and ultimate crucifixion was just hours away. He knew that the disciples would have a front row seat to it all. And Jesus was saying to them, guys, it is going to get rough. You are going to grieve. Your world is going to be turned upside down. But then something is going to happen. Everything is going to change. The pain of the cross is going to be eclipsed by the glory of the resurrection. You will see me again. And when you see me again, you will rejoice. And I want you to think about that. Think about that original group of guys who heard those words. They believed what Jesus said. They bought in, and life wasn't easy for them. They were falsely accused. They were eventually arrested. They were physically beaten and tortured because of their faith. Some of them were actually martyred for their faith. But when persecution came, instead of complaining, instead of heading for the hills, they actually began to rejoice for being counted worthy to suffer for the name. We're talking about a radical group of men and women. These guys and gals were bound in chains. They were thrown in prison. But even after being bound in chains, thrown in the dungeon, they would turn time in jail into a reason for a night of worship. Anybody remember this? The scripture passages in your notes, it's later on in the notes. And by the way, for some of you who are looking at your notes and thinking, he hasn't covered anything, Ethel, we're going to be here all day. Don't panic. Let me give you an example. A guy named Paul. Maybe you're here and you're not a Christian. And by the way, I'm going to ask for something I never asked for. The air conditioner has come on while I've been talking, and it has just killed my voice. If somebody could get me a glass of hot water, just run out there and get me a glass of hot, not cold water, but warm water, I would appreciate it very much. But the air conditioning has sort of just sucked up all of my voice immediately, and I apologize for that. Guy named Paul. By the way, for those of you who are not Christians, Paul was previously a non-Christian. In fact, Paul, before he came to know Christ, actually hated Christians. He hated Christians so severely that he thought it was his mission in life to kill and torture Christians. But this guy had a personal experience with Jesus, and that personal experience transformed him. He went on to write half of the New Testament. He became the chief proponent of the Christian faith who literally changed the world. That's Paul, the guy that I want to talk about for a few moments. Paul was on a missionary trip with a partner of his, a guy by the name of Silas. They were arrested. Don't have time to go into the reason for the arrest, but it was a completely unjust arrest. Not only were they arrested, according to Acts 16, Roman officials ripped off Paul and Silas's clothes so they were left naked. That'll be fine. Whatever that water is will be fine. Just bring it right on to. Hey, Chris, that's fine. Bring it on to. Because people are going to get worried and they're not going to wait for the message. So whatever it is, we'll drink it. It's hot. That's good. Good. Some of you said, I've never drank hot water. Believe me, cold water is the worst thing we can do right now. Holy cow. Holy cow. Well, maybe not the worst thing we could do. Chris, bring up some of that water. Is that water? No, don't bring that up. We're not going to have a mixed drink like Coke here. Whew. That burnt my ever-loving tongue. Now I can't speak, not because my voice isn't working, but because my tongue is actually petrified. It's on fire. Thank you so much. There we go, John. cooling that stuff off. We got it. That has never happened to me before that I realize or remember. But when that air conditioning event came on, I just felt my voice go, just clamp up on me. So Paul, he's arrested completely unjustly, stripped of his clothes. He is beaten. He is placed in Roman stocks and bonds. This was a form of not only arrest and being confined, but it was actually a form of torture. Let me ask you, what do you think was running through Paul and Silas's mind in that moment? I mean, they have open wounds. Their feet are in leg irons. They're physically exhausted. It's impossible to rest because of their situation. What do you think was running through their minds? Oh, we were just being obedient to the purpose and plan of God. Look at where it got us. We've been stripped. We are naked. We are publicly humiliated. We have been beaten within an inch of our lives. Doom, despair, agony on me, oh my, what's going on? Here's what Acts 16:24 says. The jailer put them in the inner dungeon. We're talking about maximum security. Clamp their feet in stocks. Then we read these words. Around midnight. Get this, all of us eventually face midnight. We all face those situations where we're forced to answer this question. Will we trust in the sovereignty, faithfulness, and father heart of God? Or will we cave to fear, anxiety, insecurity, and unbelief? And let me tell you, joy, praise, and worship seem rational when everything is going great. They seem completely irrational when your world turns upside down. See, midnight is when everyone has gone home and there's nobody left but you and the darkness. Midnight is when the visitation hours are over, but you're still in the waiting room all alone. Anyone ever sat in an ICU waiting room all night and tried to sleep on furniture that wasn't made to be slept on? That's midnight. Midnight is when you're all alone in your apartment and the only voices you hear are the voices inside your head that say, you are not going to make it. This is the end. It is over. Midnight is when it appears that your circumstances will never change. How do you respond at midnight? How do you live with joy at midnight? Listen to what Paul and Silas did. Around midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns of praise to God. I love the way the Message reads here. It says, along about midnight, Paul and Silas were at prayer and singing a robust hymn to God. Somehow at midnight, in spite of the humiliation, in spite of the beating, in spite of the blood loss, Paul looked at Silas and said, do you want to sing? Sing what? Why don't we sing a hymn? And sometimes we read the word hymn in the New Testament, we instantly think of what I was raised on. Anybody else a redback hymnal? That's not what the word is referring to here. Actually, the New Testament word hymn refers to songs of testimony, songs of triumph, songs of exaltation, adoration, celebration, in which we celebrate the greatness of God and specifically focus on the person, work, ministry, and lordship of Jesus Christ. After being severely beaten, Paul looks over at Silas and says, do you want to sing? Silas says, sing what? A hymn. Silas says, let's go for it. And all of a sudden, they bust out in worship. What did they sing? We don't know. But here's what it says. Around midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening. Underline that if you're taking notes. They were listening. It actually means to listen with pleasure, like you're listening to beautiful music. I love that aspect. Evidently, Paul, unlike me, Paul and Silas evidently both could actually sing. And when they began to sing, a stillness came over the prison. Anybody ever watch the movie The Shawshank Redemption? You watched the TBS version, right? You didn't watch the actual R-rated version. I know. I'm just taking off the pressure. For those of you who want to admit it, but you're afraid. Yeah, I watched it. Well, I watched it and thought it was a brilliant film. One of the most brilliant films I've ever watched. tells the story of Andy Dufresne. In fact, Ellis Boyd Red, played by Morgan Freeman, tells the story, narrates the story. And guys, let's just be honest about Morgan Freeman. He could narrate the cookbook and you would feel inspired, right? I mean, when he speaks, it's just like, wow, that must be Moses. Andy was a young, successful banker, wrongly convicted of murdering his wife in 1947, sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. At one point in the movie, Dufresne is given the task of sorting through a whole stack of vinyl records that had been donated to the prison. In the process, he finds a beautiful operatic, classical piece of music, even though it's against prison regulations. The guard hears what's happening, and he asks what's happening. Dufresne, knowing that confinement and torture would come, Dufresne locks the guard out, locks himself in the sound booth, switches on the PA system that reaches the whole prison, the cells, the yard, the hospital, and he plays the music full blast on the speakers, and everyone in the entire prison stops and listens. And then the voice of Morgan Freeman comes in and he narrates. Remember this? I have no idea to this day what those 2 Italian ladies were singing about. Truth is, I don't want to know. Some things are best left unsaid. I'd like to think they were singing about something so beautiful it can't be expressed in words. It makes your heart ache because of it. I tell you, those voices soared higher and farther than anyone in the great place dared to dream. It was like some beautiful bird flapped in our drab little cage and made those walls dissolve away. And for the briefest moment, every last man in Shawshank felt free. Is that awesome? That is exactly what happened in Acts 16 when 2 guys chose joy. When they burst out in praise to God, the entire prison began to listen. And anybody remember the aftermath of that? Acts 16, verse number 26. Suddenly there was a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once, all the prison doors flew open and everybody's chains came loose. Guys, I wonder if one of the reasons we don't see more seismic shifts in our lives is because when hardship comes, we don't more regularly choose joy and sing a robust hymn of praise to our great God. So, you want to know why you should have joy? For those of you who've been anxious, here are the blanks, and they're going to come in 6 statements. I'll not comment on any of the passages. You can look them up when you get home. Here's the reason you can choose joy. Number 1, because it is a gift from God. It is a gift from God. Number 2, because I can count on the unchanging character of my great God. Things may fall apart, but he remains unchanged. Number 3, because of what Jesus Christ accomplished for me through his cross and glorious resurrection. When you realize that he overcame, it can give you joy in spite of what's going on in your life. 4, because the Holy Spirit is constantly at work in me and he refuses to give up on me. Check out passages like Galatians chapter 5 and Romans chapter 5. Number 5, because of the miracle of unanswered prayer. Jesus said, ask and you'll receive that your joy may be full. And here's number 6, because regardless of what goes down here, I'm secure with what will go down there. My name has already been written in heaven. Can I just comment on this while the entire band comes back to the stage? Jesus sent the 70 disciples. It was a larger group than the 12. 70 disciples out on a mission. He sends them out. He gives them an assignment. They come back from that assignment and they are rejoicing. Lord, when we spoke in your name, people were healed. And guess what? We even cast out demons. And they were so excited about the power with which they administered. And Jesus brought them back to reality. He said this, I've given you authority over all the power of the enemy. You can walk among snakes and scorpions, crush them. Nothing will ever injure you. But don't rejoice because evil spirits obey you. Rather, you rejoice because your names have been written in heaven. And guys, that is reason to rejoice. Amen. I've been thinking about this message this week. And I've been thinking about Jesus' words in John 16. About the fact that right now you're going to grieve. Because you won't see me, but then you'll see me again. And you'll rejoice. And that joy no man can take away from you. And I was thinking about how life throws us all kinds of curveballs. And I realized this, that Father's Day for everyone is not always a cause for celebration. Some of you, like me, your dad died prematurely. Now, I had my dad into adulthood, but at 67 years of age. That is relatively young in our world. My dad passed away. And I was thinking about the fact that for some of us, we can't experience joy. And I thought about Jesus' words. Right now you grieve, but you will see me again, and you will rejoice. And that joy nobody can take away from you. You know, this morning I called my mom and I spoke with her because I know that every holiday like this is very challenging for my mom. And you know what we talked about? We talked about John 16. That Jesus said, you will see me again, and you will rejoice, and that joy no man can take from you. And we both rejoice because we know beyond the shadow of any doubt that my dad's eternal security is safe in the hands of an awesome God. Therefore, I can rejoice because of what is yet to come. Now, I want you to know this. You can choose joy regardless of your circumstances. But Chris, I'm facing a period of unemployment. You can choose joy. But Chris, we've been infertile. You can choose joy. But Chris, we were just diagnosed with a terminal illness. You can choose joy. But Chris, I've been diagnosed with clinical depression. You can choose joy. Anybody, we're going to pray, and then they're going to sing us out. Anybody watch the original Pharrell Williams official video of the song that Justin and the team sang earlier? Anybody here watch that? Yeah, you can admit that at A2 Church. I know some of you are in church and you're not going to admit anything about seeing a movie, knowing a song. I don't know anything but Jesus loves me. It's okay. It's okay. I watched that video and immediately felt a sense of joy. Now, I've listened to some of Pharrell's other music, and let's just be honest. It's very problematic, lyrically speaking. He's very, very gifted. Song about my girl just wants to have it all night or whatever the lyrics are. You might want to take a pass on that one. I'm just saying. Not the best thing to listen to for your moral purity. But this song was so encouraging to me. And we wanted to play it because if anybody ought to be able to sing, I'm happy, it ought to be those who know Jesus. Amen? So, you don't know him, now's your chance to know him. Are you ready? I want to invite you to know Jesus right now, and I really do mean that. This is your opportunity to know Jesus. I just want to invite you to pray with me right now. You don't have to close your eyes. You can leave them wide open. I don't care, because Jesus doesn't care. This is your opportunity. Some of you have just been going through life. You've been searching, and you need to experience true joy, and right now can be your moment of joy. Are you ready? So it doesn't matter, eyes closed if you feel more comfortable, eyes wide open if you feel more comfortable. The words aren't important. Your faith reaching out to connect with God because of what he has accomplished for you in Jesus is important. So let's just pray. Are you ready? Just say out loud, Heavenly Father, thank you that I can live with joy regardless because I know that you are with me, that you are for me, and that you are working everything together for my ultimate good and your great glory. So right now, I ask Jesus to forgive my sin and lead my life. I surrender all to Him. And I thank you that today I choose joy. I choose Jesus. Amen. 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 So you ready? Just sing out with joy. Let's stand at our feet. How many of you will say, Chris, I just prayed that prayer and either committed or recommitted my life to Jesus. I just chose Jesus. I just chose joy. Lift up your hand way high. Lift it up. I know people are looking around. Lift it up. But yeah, back in the back, praise the Lord, or they're up. That's cool. Awesome. Now, hey, I just want you to rest in that joy and thank Jesus for that joy. And how many of you are ready to just celebrate the joy we have because of Jesus? Ben, Justin, I have never heard this guy sing like that before. That was awesome. I mean it. That falsetto way up there high. Awesome. Bring it, guys. Take it away. Let's go.
It might sound crazy what I'm about to say. Since now she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Cause I'm back along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here comes bad news, talking this and that. Yeah, give me all you got and don't hold back. I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Cause I'm clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. And bring me down, can't nothing. Bring me down, no level's too high. Bring me down, can't nothing. Bring me down, I said. Bring me down, can't nothing. Bring me down, no level's too high. Bring me down, can't nothing. Bring me down, I said, because I'm not alone.